The lights strung across the trees in Boston Common twinkled like stars fallen to earth, casting a warm glow over the sea of people bundled in coats and scarves. Christmas music floated through the crisp December air, mingling with laughter and the distant chime of bells. The park was alive with holiday cheer, families posing for photos, couples sharing hot cocoa, children darting between legs to catch glimpses of Santa. But for Evan Carter, a single dad navigating the crowd with his 8-year-old daughter Lily's hand firmly in his, the night was just another hurdle to get home. Evan's feet ached from a long day at the auto shop, his calloused hands gripping a cheap plastic bag of discount cookies, the only treat he could afford for their modest Christmas Eve. Lily bounced beside him, her mittened hand warm in his, her cheeks flushed from the cold. "Daddy, look, Santa's right there," Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder as she pointed toward a jolly figure handing out candy canes. Evan managed a tired smile, tugging her coat tighter around her small frame. "Stay close to me, okay? Don't let go." He steered them through the throng, dodging a group snapping selfies under a massive lighted wreath. For a split second he turned his head to avoid bumping into them, and that's when it happened. A small force collided with his leg, nearly knocking him off balance. Evan looked down, startled. A little girl, no more than 5 years old, clung to his pants like a lifeline. Her cheeks were red from the biting wind, her hair a tangled mess, and her thin coat offered little protection against the chill. She was sobbing, her breaths coming in ragged gasps. Mommy. Mommy." She whimpered, her voice barely audible over the festive din. Evan's heart clenched. The world around him seemed to mute, the music, the chatter, the holiday bustle fading into the background. He scanned the crowd, frantically searching for a frantic parent, but no one was rushing toward them. People streamed by, oblivious. Without thinking, he knelt to her level, his knees protesting against the cold ground. His voice came out steady, instinctive, the voice of a father who knew fear all too well. "Hey, look at me," he said gently, keeping his tone calm and clear. "I'm Evan. I'm right here. What's your name?" The girl shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I don't know. I'm lost." Evan swallowed hard. He knew that terror, the raw panic of being alone in a world too big. He placed his hands lightly on her shoulders, not pulling her away, just steadying her. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "I'm not leaving you. What's your mom's name? Do you remember?" She opened her mouth, but only sobs escaped. Her tiny hands trembled like leaves in the wind. Evan straightened slightly and called out over the crowd, his voice cutting through the noise like a beacon. "Has anyone lost a child little girl about 5 blue coat?" No response. A few heads turned, then turned away. Lily tugged at his sleeve, her eyes round with concern. "Daddy, is she lost?" Evan nodded, his jaw tight. The paternal instinct locked in like iron. He couldn't walk away. He scooped the girl up gently, like cradling a frightened bird, wrapping his arms around her to shield her from the cold. "I'll carry you, so you're warmer," he murmured in her ear, his voice a promise. "You can cry if you need to, but you're safe now." The girl buried her face in his shoulder, her sobs muffled. "I'm scared. So scared." Evan held her tighter, his eyes scanning the growing crowd. "I am too," he admitted softly, "but I'm going to find your mom right now." Before we continue, please tell us where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. Amid the hollowed throng with time slipping away, could Evan locate the girl's mother before it was too late? Or would a single delay turn this into tragedy? The little girl Sophie, as she'd finally whispered, clung to Evan's neck like a lifeline, her small body still trembling against his chest. Her sobs had quieted to hiccups, but her grip was iron tight, as if letting go meant vanishing into the crowd again. The cold seeped through her thin coat, and Evan could feel the chill of her skin through his jacket. He shifted her weight slightly, wrapping one arm more securely around her, while using his free hand to hold Lily's. "Stay right by my side," he told Lily, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. "No, letting go." Lily nodded vigorously, her small fingers clutching the hem of his coat, like it was the only solid thing in the swirling chaos. She glanced up at Sophie, her eyes a mix of curiosity and concern. Evan lowered his head to Sophie's ear, speaking slowly to cut through her fear. "Can you tell me your name again? Or what your mom is wearing?" Sophie sniffled, shaking her head. "Mom," was all she managed, her voice breaking. Lily tugged at Evan's sleeve, her voice small but determined. "Daddy, can I talk to her? I got lost once, remember?" Evan paused, remembering that heart-stopping moment years ago when Lily had wandered off in a store for just 30 seconds. He'd felt like the world was ending. He nodded. "Okay, but gently." Lily stepped closer, peering up at Sophie with a tentative smile. "Hi, I'm Lily. What's your name?" Sophie lifted her head slightly from Evan's shoulder, her tear-streaked face meeting Lily's. For a moment, her panicked eyes softened at the sight of another child. "Sophie!" Lily's face lit up. "Sophie. That's a pretty name. Hey, Sophie, look at me. Breathe like this." She placed a hand on her own belly, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. In. Out. It helps when you're scared. Sophie watched, then mimicked her. Her breaths coming in shaky bursts at first, but gradually steadying. The simple act seemed to anchor her, pulling her back from the edge. Evan watched in quiet awe as the two girls connected. Lily pointed toward the glowing carousel ahead, its painted horses spinning under strings of lights. "See that? The carousel is super bright. If your mom is looking, she'll see us there first, right, Daddy?" Evan agreed, a spark of hope flickering. "Smart thinking, kiddo. Let's head that way." He led them through the thickening crowd, each step a battle against elbows and strollers. People brushed past without noticing the trio, one man with two little girls, one clearly not his. Sophie's arms tightened around his neck every time someone jostled them, her whisper barely audible. Don't leave me." "I won't," Evan promised, his voice firm. "I swear!" As they pushed forward, Evan's mind flashed to his own life, the cramped apartment in East Boston, the microwave dinners he'd heat up for Lily after long shifts at the shop. He'd lost his wife to a sudden illness 3 Christmases ago, leaving him to navigate fatherhood alone. Every holiday since he'd vowed to make it special for Lily, even if it meant scraping by. Tonight was supposed to end with those discount cookies and a storybook by the tiny tree. But now, here he was, carrying a stranger's child through the cold. Across the park, Alexandra Pierce tore through the crowd like a force of nature. The billionaire CEO of Pierce Global, with her golden hair disheveled and her designer coat flapping, was a far cry from the poised woman who commanded boardrooms. Her heart pounded in her ears, drowning out the carols. "Security, I lost my daughter! She was right here 30 seconds ago!" A guard's voice crackled over her earpiece. "Ma'am, we're sweeping the area. Stay calm." "Calm." Alexandra's voice rose to a near scream, turning heads. "I have one child. One, find her now." She shoved past a family, her phone clutched like a weapon. Assistants trailed behind, one stammering. "Ma'am, perhaps call the police. Call everyone." Alexandra snapped, her eyes wild. "If anything happens to her, I'll burn this city down." She spotted a flash of blonde hair in the distance, a girl about Sophie's age, and lunged forward only to realize it wasn't her. She staggered, knees buckling for a moment as despair crashed over her. No husband to share the panic. He'd died years ago. Sophie was her everything. The thought of losing her twisted like a knife. Back near the carousel, Evan finally broke through the throng. The light spun in a kaleidoscope of colors, casting cheerful shadows. He set Sophie down carefully, but kept her hand in his. Lily stood protectively in front like a mini guardian. Evan approached a security guard at the ride's entrance. "We've got a lost child here, named Sophie. I've been calling out, but no one's responded." The guard nodded briskly, grabbing his radio. "Lost child 5 years old named Sophie at the carousel." Evan knelt to Sophie's level again. "Do you remember what your mom was wearing?" "Anything." Sophie shook her head, but Lily squeezed her other hand. "It's okay. We're sticking together, like glue." The two girls exchanged a tentative smile, their bond forming in the midst of the storm. Evan looked at them, his resolve hardening. "I'm not leaving until we find her," he vowed to Sophie. Just then Alexandra's radio buzzed. "Possible sighting near the carousel. Child named Sophie." Her breath caught. She bolted forward, heart racing, shoving through the crowd. And there under the lights, she saw her Sophie hand in hand with a strange man. In that instant, panic twisted into rage. "Sophie!" she screamed, charging toward them. Alexandra burst through the crowd like a storm, unleashed, her high heels skidding on the slick ground hair, flying wildly as she zeroed in on her daughter. Her face was a mask of raw terror twisting into fury. She reached them in seconds, snatching Sophie from Evan's grasp with a force that made the girl yelp in surprise. "Get away from her!" Alexandra screamed, her voice piercing the holiday music like a siren. She clutched Sophie to her chest, turning her body to shield the child as if Evan were a predator. The crowd parted instinctively, a ripple of murmurs spreading. A few phones whipped out, capturing the scene. "Kidnapping," someone whispered. Evan raised his hands, palms out, stepping back half a pace. "Ma'am, wait. Calm down. She's lost." I was just... Alexandra didn't hear him. Her mind was a whirlwind of every nightmare headline she'd ever read about child abductions. "What did you do to my daughter? Where were you taking her? Who hired you?" Evan's heart pounded, but he kept his voice level. "No one hired me. I was walking with my own daughter when she ran into me crying. I brought her here because it's bright and visible." Alexandra's eyes flicked to Lily, huddled close to Evan's side. Suspicion darkened her gaze further. "Oh, and you brought a little accomplice, too. How convenient." Lily's face paled, her grip on Evan's coat tightening. Evan felt a surge of protective anger, but he swallowed it. Yelling back would only make him look guilty. "She's my daughter. We're just trying to help." Alexandra laughed bitterly, her voice carrying over the growing circle of onlookers. Help you expect me to believe that call the police? She waved at her trailing security, her free hand shaking. I want him arrested now. The murmurs grew louder. A man in the crowd pointed. Hey, that's Alexandra Pierce, the CEO of Pierce Global. Phones multiplied, lights flashing as videos started rolling. Evan felt the weight of dozens of eyes, the invisible net of judgment closing in. He pulled Lily closer. Stay with me, he whispered. Look at me, not them. Alexandra, emboldened by the recognition, pressed on. Do you know who I am? You think you can just grab a child in a park? Evan met her gaze steadily. I don't care who you are. Listen to your daughter or check the cameras. I reported her to security. But Alexandra was beyond reason, her fear fueling the accusations. Lies. You're probably some opportunist. Before she could finish, Lily couldn't hold back anymore. She stepped forward, trembling but defiant, her small voice cutting through the tension. Don't yell at my daddy! The crowd hushed, slightly caught off guard by the child's interruption. Lily's eyes were red-rimmed, but she stared straight at Alexandra. Sophie hugged his leg because she was scared. He carried her here so she wouldn't be cold. He even gave her water. He's not bad. Alexandra faltered for a split second, but the panic held firm. She turned to Sophie, her voice urgent. Tell me, baby, what did he do? Did he hurt you? Sophie, overwhelmed by the shouting and the arms pulling her, looked from her mother to Lily, then to Evan. Her face crumpled and she burst out in a wail. Mommy, stop. He helped me. He's nice. The words landed like a thunderclap. The crowd fell silent, phones still raised but now hesitant. Alexandra froze her arms, loosening slightly around Sophie as the truth sank in. Shame flooded her features, her cheeks flushing. A security guard pushed through, radio in hand. Ma'am, the guy reported a lost child matching her description. Cameras will confirm it. Looks like he did the right thing. Alexandra's shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of her. She stared at Evan, then at Lily, the reality of her mistake crashing down. Sophie buried her face in her mother's neck, still sobbing. I was lost. I was scared. Uncle Evan found Mommy for me. He didn't take me. The murmur shifted sympathy, now turning toward Evan. But one voice rose above the rest, a man holding his phone high. CEO, accusing a dad of kidnapping. I got it all on video. The crowd buzzed anew, whispers of scandal rippling out. Alexandra paled further, realizing the damage wasn't just to Evan. It was a public relations nightmare unfolding in real time. How would Alexandra fix this before the videos spread? Would Evan walk away humiliated or demand she restore his and Lily's dignity? The air around the carousel hung heavy with stunned silence, broken only by Sophie's muffled sobs against her mother's coat. Alexandra stood frozen, her arms wrapped protectively around her daughter, the color draining from her face as shame replaced rage. The crowd shifted uneasily, phones lowering one by one, the weight of the moment settling over everyone. She drew a shaky breath, her voice cracking as she addressed the onlookers. Everyone, please step back. My child is terrified. A security guard moved forward, gesturing for space, creating a small bubble amid the chaos. Alexandra knelt to Sophie's level, while first brushing tears from her cheeks. You're safe now, baby. Mommy's so sorry I scared you more. Then she turned to Lily, who stood pressed against Evan's side, her eyes wide and wary. Alexandra lowered herself to the girl's height, her voice soft and deliberate. What's your name, sweetheart? Lily hesitated, glancing up at her father for reassurance. Evan nodded subtly. "Lily," she whispered. "Lily," Alexandra repeated gently. "I'm sorry I scared you. I was wrong to say those things about your daddy." Lily swallowed, her voice trembling. "Do you still mad at him?" Alexandra shook her head immediately. "No, I'm mad at myself for not listening." The simple exchange seemed to ease something in Lily, her shoulders relaxing slightly. Alexandra stood facing the crowd again, her posture straightening despite the humiliation. This wasn't a half-hearted apology. It was deliberate public. "Listen, everyone. This man didn't take my daughter. He kept her safe, brought her to a visible spot and alerted security. If not for him, I don't want to think about what could have happened." Murmurs rippled through the group, nods of agreement starting to appear. She turned to her lead security guard. "Get on the speakers. Announce it park-wide. Evan Carter helped find Sophie, and Alexandra Pierce, accused him wrongly. I apologize publicly." The guard blinked, but complied, radioing the request. Minutes later, the park's speakers crackled over the music. "Attention! Sophie has been found safe, thanks to Evan Carter, a father who assisted. Apologies for any misunderstanding." Evan heard his name echo, a mix of relief and lingering hurt washing over him. It wasn't about the praise, it was about clearing the stain on his daughter's memory of the night. But he still felt the ache. He met Alexandra's eyes. "You can say sorry to me. But Lily, she'll remember this?" Alexandra nodded, tears welling. "I know. I've read too many stories about abductions. I lost my husband years ago. Sophie is all I have. I panicked." Evan understood the fear it mirrored his own losses, but he held his ground. "Fear doesn't make you bad, but it doesn't give you the right to turn good people into villains, especially in front of their kids." "You're right," she admitted, her voice breaking. She glanced at the lingering crowd, then at the girls. "Let my team escort you to the VIP lounge nearby. It's warm, private. The kids can rest for a moment." Evan hesitated, looking at Lily, who was shivering now. She nodded faintly. "Okay. Just for a bit." The lounge was a cozy enclave at the park's edge, with soft lighting, plush seats, and the scent of hot cocoa wafting from a nearby station. Security cleared the space, ensuring privacy. Evan sat on the edge of a couch, Lily beside him, while Alexandra settled opposite with Sophie on her lap. A staff member brought warm drinks. Alexandra handed a mug to Lily first. "Here, honey. This might help." In the quiet, Alexandra leaned forward, her earlier authority stripped away. "Evan, I need to apologize properly. Not because of the crowd, but because I hurt your family." Evan sipped his cocoa, the warmth doing little to ease the tension. "Go on. I've built my life around protecting Sophie. The paranoia, it's consumed me. But tonight I let it blind me. I should have listened." Evan set his mug down. "I get it. I lost my wife 3 Christmases ago. Every holiday I promised Lily she'll never feel abandoned. Tonight, when Sophie grabbed my leg, I couldn't walk away." What if it was Lily? Alexandra's eyes softened to shared pain, bridging the gap. "I'm so sorry for your loss, and for adding to your pain tonight." Sophie Calmer now looked at Evan. "Uncle Evan, sorry I made trouble." Evan managed a small smile. "No trouble, kiddo. You just wanted your mom." Alexandra pulled a business card from her coat, sliding it across the table. "This isn't charity. If you ever need anything at all, call. But more than that, I'd like the girls to meet again." Sophie could use a friend. And I could learn from someone who stops to help without expecting a reward. Evan stared at the card, not touching it yet. He glanced at Lily, who was watching Sophie with quiet curiosity. I don't promise anything, but we could meet in public, once, if Lily wants. Lily perked up slightly. Maybe, if we can play. Sophie beamed through her tears. Yes, play. Alexandra exhaled gratitude, flooding her expression. Thank you. As they prepared to leave with security ensuring a discreet exit, Alexandra watched the father and daughter. For the first time, she saw not a stranger, but a mirror of her own vulnerabilities. Would that meeting spark a change in two fractured families' lives? Weeks passed, the holiday lights fading from Boston streets as winter deepened. Evan had tucked Alexandra's card away in his wallet, unsure if he'd ever use it. But Lily's questions about Sophie lingered, simple, innocent queries that tugged at him. Daddy, do you think she's okay? She was so scared. One evening after a long shift at the shop, he dialed the number. A public park meetup, he insisted. Neutral ground. They met at a quiet playground on a crisp Saturday morning, the girls spotting each other instantly. Sophie ran to Lily with a shy grin, and soon they were chasing each other on the swings, laughter echoing like bells. Evan and Alexandra stood at a distance, the awkwardness of that Christmas Eve still hanging between them. I'm glad you called, Alexandra said, her voice softer than before. Sophie's been asking about her park friend. Evan nodded, hands in his pockets. Lily, too. Kids bounce back fast. As the girls played, conversation flowed haltingly at first. Alexandra opened up about her world, the endless meetings, the isolation of wealth. I have everything but no one to share the quiet moments with. Since my husband died, it's just been me and Sophie against the world. Evan shared his own struggles, the late bills, the solo parent-teacher nights. It's not easy, but Lily's smile makes it worth it. We don't have much, but we have each other. The meetings became regular playdates at the park, then coffee nearby. Trust built slowly. One rainy afternoon, Alexandra's car broke down. Evan fixed it in her driveway, refusing payment. Just being neighborly, he said. In return, she connected him with a better job at a larger garage, stable hours, benefits. Not charity, she emphasized, but opportunity. You've earned it. Friendship deepened into something more. Shared dinners turned intimate stories of loss, weaving them together. Alexandra admired Evan's quiet strength. He saw her vulnerability beneath the CEO facade. One evening, as the girls built a fort in the living room, Evan took her hand. I didn't expect this, he admitted. Neither did I, she whispered. But it feels right. Love blossomed naturally without fanfare, no fairy tale rescues, just two people choosing each other amid life's mess. The girls bonded like sisters, Sophie's shyness melting under Lily's warmth. A year later, under a canopy of spring blossoms in a small garden, they married. Simple vows, close friends, no extravagance. Lily and Sophie walked down the aisle as flower girls, giggling in matching dresses. Evan looked at Alexandra, his voice steady. I promise to stop for you always. She smiled through tears. And I promise to listen first. As they danced that night, the girls twirling around them, Evan reflected on that fateful Christmas Eve. A lost child, a misunderstanding, a chance to heal. Christmas wasn't about gifts or lights. It was about pausing for those who needed you most. If this story touched your heart, share in the comments. If you've ever been misunderstood or found unexpected connection. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales of kindness and second chances. Comment Part 2 if you want to see what happens next for this blended family.